Waffle, waffle, waffle. Alright there, you little demons. Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the crown jewels of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you, yes, you, the person who has finally had their hernia surgery. I know that it's going to be a bit weird because it's like recorded a few weeks in advance so therefore by the time this comes out I'll actually hopefully be properly on the mend. As of right now, I'm still very sore, but I am very, very happy, so apologies if my range of movement is a little bit more limited than usual. And speaking of gross, disgusting things, this is actually a Halloween episode. Ooh, egad! A ghost! Sai, could you do me a favour actually? I don't feel like it's spooky enough. Can you add like 10% more spooky factor into this? A little bit more than that actually. Maybe bump it up to 15. I'll tell you what, we'll go crazy. Bump it up to 20, all right? Whoa, okay. I'm having I don't know what that is, that thing there. I don't like it. Can you take it off the screen, please? Put it down to 15% again. Ooh, yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week. And this week we have, can you actually take it down another 5%? This week we have none other to thank than, where's my bloody thing here? Dorico for their suggestion of video games that scared you with lies. And because we saw the word scare in here, that is what justifies us being our Halloween episode. Spectacular. To be fair though, Sai is actually making a bit of an effort here because she's actually wearing something that is more Halloween. I mean, wearing Midsummer, that kind of counts. Put up by 5% before they start complaining about it again. Because here's the thing, my friends. When it comes to video games, we absolutely love the immersion factor that they provide us, especially when it comes to horror, where it can ramp up the fear factor. But, you know, when conventional, in-your-face scares just aren't good enough, sometimes the devs decide to get a little crafty with how they ratchet up the tension. Only through subterfuge and deception did these games manage to leave us all quivering with fear. Yet the end result is so paralysingly effective that it's actually tough to feel angry about it. So let's have a chat as I'm Jules, this is Sai,
Hello.
And we're going to be tag teaming this list together for you today, mainly to help me out with my surgery repairs and the fact that I'm very woozy right now. And these are 8 games that scared you with lies. Number 8, Psycho Mantis can read your mind. Can he bollocks? Metal Gear Solid. Now, the original Metal Gear Solid did a fantastic job of making players, especially young and impressionable and Scott Tailford-shaped ones, believe that Hideo Kojima, the madman himself, was capable of the literally impossible. In an era where pulling back the curtain and peering from beyond the fourth wall was considerably less common in video games, Kojima's stealth action masterpiece got meta in groundbreakingly unsettling fashion. Now, one of the game's bosses, as we all know, is Psycho Bloody Mantis, and he's pretty hyped up as being an all-powerful psychic capable of reading Solid Snake's mind, and this is embodied in-game by Mantis' ability to not only read your controller inputs, but also access your PS1 memory card and comment on if you played any other Konami games. What they really should have done with that, though, is they should have commented if you played non-Konami games, just be like, oh, that piece of trash, you put a lot of hours into that, have you? Final Fantasy, more like, off. But it was genuinely terrifying stuff back in 1998, especially as the solution to overpowering Mantis Toboggan's abilities, which is switching your controller to another port, wasn't immediately apparent. At the same time, though, the prospect of a game anticipating your every move was subliminally scary, even if the tech behind the illusion might actually seem relatively basic by modern standards. So, bravo, Kojima. Bravo.
Number 7, the safe room isn't actually safe. Silent Hill 4, The Room. The criminally underappreciated 4th Silent Hill game was a bold reinvention of the franchise, revolving around the attempts of protagonist Harry Townsend to escape his own apartment, Room 302, within which he's become sealed inside. Can you imagine being the estate agent for Room 302? Yeah, okay, it's a bit drab, could do with some colour, but on the plus side, no one's going to be breaking in because you've got about half a dozen indestructible padlocks on the front door. Speaking of which, I'm going to let myself out now. No, it's not that key. No, it's not that key. No, it's not that key. Despite this, for most of the game, the apartment is effectively Silent Hill 4's safe room, a hub area where you can take a breather from the hellish sights witnessed in the apartment's various portals, save your game, and restore your health. We as players naturally become accustomed to the fact that the apartment is a safe-ish space, only for Konami to flip this firmly on its head at the midway point. Just as we've grown comfortable with Room 302, the room itself begins to become overrun with skin-crawling supernatural hooey, all of which deals damage to Henry, ensuring that the sanctuary we took for granted is now an abode jam-packed with terrors of its own. The estate agent better hope that when they said nobody breaking in, that also extended to horrible monster men who melt through the walls, or there's going to be a strongly worded complaint. And it's going to say, Number 6, the importance of the sanity meter. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Now, Amnesia: The Dark Descent is hardly the first game to generate scares by screwing with the player's own sense of reality. I mean, Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem is definitely the most notable early example of this, but it put one hell of a hard sell on the importance of its sanity meter mechanic. And throughout the survival horror game, players needed to manage protagonist Daniel's sanity meter, and allowing it to falter would result in him suffering visual hallucinations such as being pursued by monsters, with the implication being that the neglect of Daniel's sanity could result in a game over. Though one of the game's designers, Thomas Grip, later admitted that they wildly oversold the impact of the sanity meter to, and this is a direct quote, trick players into scaring themselves, because as it turns out, there is no fail state tied directly to your sanity. Or at least there wasn't until a 2018 patch added in a hard mode which actually caused players to die if their sanity reached 0. For the great many who played the base experience for 8 years prior though, the fear of sanity meter torpedoing your playthrough was a pretty nifty psychological chicanery above all else. Thankfully though, I have no fear whatsoever of losing my mind, having completely lost it many, many years ago. Isn't that right, Big Pitch? Yo, what's up, Big Pitch? He's real to me. Thank you for the love of Big Pitch, by the way. There's very few times where I really want something to stick with the audience, and Big Pitch is definitely here. And I love him. I love him to be. Look at him. Oh, he's spooky now, he's a ghost. Number 5, Blank will remember that, Telltale's The Walking Dead. One of the most distinctive tropes of Telltale's The Walking Dead franchise is the regular reminder in the top left corner that a character will remember something you've said or done. With the series' apparent emphasis on player choice and diverging story paths, the obvious implication is that you just might have done something that'll come back to bite you in the butt later on. It's like that time I asked for the extra bowl of gruel that Jules serves me in between editing episodes of Choose Your Own Adventure, but he was like, no, get back in the editing mines. Yep, that. These reminders kept us all on our toes and left us uneasy about what the future might hold, especially considering that each season plays out with plenty of twists and turns. Worked precisely as intended then. Except it's basically a load of bull, given that bar a few exceptions, characters don't really remember anything you say or do in any significant way. To be fair to, say, the cast of Season 1 of The Walking Dead, most of them are middle-aged, and if I know anything about being middle-aged, and I do, it's that I also don't remember anything that I'm supposed to. Oh, is that where that got to? Telltale built a brand on choose-your-own-adventure style stories that largely offer only a paper-thin illusion of choice with just a few very carefully curated branching paths. Linearity is the order of the day for the most part, and though these games are largely still terrific, these unsettling reminders of the gravity of your choices are really nothing more than hot air. Number 4, the motion tracker fake-out, Aliens vs Predator. Now 1999's original Alien vs Predator is a masterful job of leaning into player expectations for the Alien franchise, exploiting the stylistic conventions of the hit sci-fi horror series for some pulse-rocketing scares. And the very first honest-to-God scare in the game occurs in the opening moments of the Marine campaign, where the developers, in this case Rebellion Developments, weaponized one of the franchise's most iconic sounds against fans. Within literally 30 seconds of being given control of a meatbag protagonist, you'll hear your trusty motion sensor start its distinctive beep, as will surely make the hair stand up on the necks of anyone who's seen Aliens, because basically, there's a bloody alien, or aliens, around. Beep.
This sound triggered a Pavlovian, pant-soiling fear in most who understandably expected a bloodthirsty xenomorph to be waiting around the corner. But as it turns out, the motion tracker was actually activated by an automatic elevator that was in the vicinity. Oh, Jesus, man, I did not need that this early on. I tell you what, I've not been this scared of a sound this early on since I thought the bailiffs were coming around knocking to repossess one of my 10 Warhammer armies again. Joke's on them though, because I hopped the fence, I had a backpack full of 8 of them and I ran to my friend's house, and they can keep the Death Guard ones, they stink, literally, stink. Plus I'll get them back at some point anyway. Now the revelation of the elevator probably didn't stop you from just opening fire in the direction of the bloop regardless, though, just to be sure. And from that moment on, it was abundantly clear that the developers really got the Alien franchise as a whole.
Number 3, it's a horror game, except it isn't. Gone Home. The genius of indie exploration game Gone Home is that developers The Fulbright Company released it without much wider context, letting players freely assume that the game about exploring an empty, ornate house in the middle of the night just had to belong to the horror genre. All the same, Fulbright never once confirmed this, and so any players who went into the game not really knowing what it was just worked themselves into a shoot brother in an anxious frenzy from the game's opening moments onwards. There's a distinct eeriness to the quiet and calm throughout Gone Home, which evidently led many players to anticipate a more full-throated genre shift at some points. But alas, it never happens. There aren't any ghosts or monsters to be found throughout the entire experience. It's simply a non-linear exploration game that happens to take place in an environment typically reserved for the horror genre. On the one hand, it's not like they ever said that Gone Home was a horror game. It's not like, going online and creating a video series and saying that it's medieval themed, and even though it's got nothing medieval in it every week. On the other hand, just look at the Steam description. It's 1 AM, you arrive home and your family isn't there to greet you. Something's not right. They almost certainly knew exactly what they were doing, leaving us all thoroughly creeped the hell out in the process, and all for naught.
Number 2, the threat of permadeath. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. God bless Ninja Theory for pulling off one hell of a coup with their big, fat, permadeath lie that is Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. You see, at the start of the game, players are administered a grim warning. The dark rot will grow each time you fail. If the rot reaches Senua's head, her quest is over and all progress will be lost. So players are naturally led to believe that Senua's lives are limited throughout the game, and if you die enough, well, you'll need to start the entire thing all over again from the beginning. And as we all know, nothing will put the fear of God in players quite like the prospect of wasted time. Knowing that you might have to restart the entire experience after pouring hours into it, well, it filled us all with a clammy sense of dread from the jump. But shortly after launch, this was revealed to be, pure bollocks. A clever ruse intended to make players anxious and nothing else. You see, you can die as much as you like without having to restart the whole game, and though Ninja Theory's chief creative director, Tamim Antoniades, insisted that they did not lie to their own customers, but most players would rather beg to differ.
And number 1, it's just a visual novel, Doki Doki Literature Club. And finally, we have Doki Doki Literature Club, which basically pulled a reverse Gone Home by presenting itself as the furthest thing from a horror game imaginable. In fairness, the trailer for this adorable dating simulator visual novel does begin with a warning that it's not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed, but the gameplay footage that follows is so gosh darn cute and wholesome that it's easy to dismiss the disclaimer as a tongue-in-cheek joke. But boy, they weren't kidding. Without giving too much away, and also because some of the visuals in this game will inspire the wrath of our Lord and Master Aldebert Go Rhythm, its infectiously charming anime-styled romp takes an extremely dark turn, pivoting from fluffy dating sim into fourth wall obliterating cosmic horror. It's brilliantly shocking and only works so well because it's so wildly unexpected for a seemingly ordinary visual novel to pull the rug out and get really messed up. The mood whiplash is very much the point, luring us all into a full sense of security, strapping us in and then refusing to let us get off the ride until we arrive at our destination. Nauseated, dishevelled, and terrified of adorable anime schoolgirls. Ah!
And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 video games who scared you with lies. Ooh, I tell you what, just as the outro treat, Si, let's boost it up for them. Put it up, spooky factor by 7%. Do it. And I'll be a big boy, all right? Okay. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate all of the support that you guys have been giving, especially to the channel overall. I don't like the bats flying overhead. I really, really don't like that. But I just want to say a massive thank you all for watching this one. I hope you've enjoyed the October Spooktacular special that we've done here. And I just want to say a massive thank you as well to Si for not only putting up with all of my chicanery and idiocy, but also editing this lovely Spooktober effect that's going on around us, and for helping me present this list in general as well. Thank you very much, Si. Big bless, big bless, big bless. But if you want to chat to us in the social medias in the meantime, you can do so by following me over here on my social medias, and you can follow Si over on her social medias over here as well. But before I go, I just want to say one thing, my friend. Even though we spoke today about video games who scared you with lies, let's just get away with all that darkness with one sole truth, and that is that you, yes, you watching this video, you are a big ledge, and you deserve the bloody best. I say it at the end of every single video that I do here because I mean it. I do. I just want you to live a healthy and happy life, and to treat yourself with that love and respect that I know that you bloody well deserve, all right? So just be kind to yourself. Get rid of the tricks. It's all about the treats today. Positivity. Delicious. What would it taste like? I reckon it would taste like, you know those chewy pencils, they're like pencil sweets with the fondant in the middle, like sherbety style thing? That's what it tastes like, because I bloody love them. My mouth's watering just thinking about them. Anyway, go and have a great Halloween, go and have a great time with your lives, and I'll see you here for another episode of Choose Your Own Adventure next week. Bye, everyone.